Hotep, Black Power, giving honor as always to the Creator and all the ancestors. My sister, Chief of Staff, Brother Harris Abdul of the Street Law Soldiers, my father, my in-laws, and all of our ancestors, as well as all of you out there, my subscribers and others. What I want to talk to you all today about is something that's been kind of disturbing me that I saw on this channel called I don't know I don't know a word for word the channel. I think it's called the 600 pound channel, the 600 pound show or something like that, where you have these extremely obese individuals, excuse me, where you have these extreme obese individuals who weigh 600 pounds or better. The majority of them are women. And what I struggle to understand is, how can you sit there at 600? How did you get to be 600 pounds, first of all? I mean, you didn't get any type of sign, or the Creator didn't tell you something after after 350 and going on into the 400s that, it was time to make some adjustments. I understand there may be some thyroid problems involved or whatever. And tapeworms and tape snakes. Tapeworm is just that's a extremely very, 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 very understatement. Tape snakes to tape boa constrictors to be on point. And what disturbs me is that they have the show, they have these 500 and 600 pound women sitting on couches. The couches, some of the couches are not on legs. They're on truck tires and cinder blocks. And they still have this huge, humongous amount of food that they're still eating with their fingers and their hands, and at the same time crying about I don't know, I just can't stop eating, I don't know what's wrong with me, I'm just, what's wrong with you. You're overeating, you fucking obese. And then it's a problem where, as though, let me just put it this way. A lot of us that watch the show or know someone, I have a relative that's, 400 or better. But a lot of people that watch the show or know of people at that weight, they don't understand how much it costs the taxpayer to actually, keep up and keep them alive. First of all, they have to have oxygen. They have to have something for their respiratory system. Second, hygiene. 600 pounds, some of them haven't been able to get out off the couch or out of their beds. Dumping shit pans and shit turds, the size of baseball bats, and and then having to wipe them down, wipe them after, a bowel movement, which, that's a job for a nurse, a living nurse, because all of them have to have living nurses to be able to feed them, to be able to, clean up their house to be able to do the things that they are unable to do at that weight. Some of them can't even walk. And those who are able to walk can barely walk. I don't call it walking. They're like, wobbling, And there's one scene where they had to take a rollback tow truck. Those type of tow trucks that the cable pulls the whole car on the tow truck. And they had to have a rollback to come in there and knock the front of the house, the front of the house out. All those bricks, they had to knock all that shit out. The windows and all of that shit had to go so they can back this tow truck, this rollback, into the house and take the cable and the hook and attach it to the couch or the bed. And the bed, is pulled up by the electric hydraulic cable that's on the tow truck, which is totally embarrassing. And the stench that comes from these houses, can you imagine the stench, from somebody that weighs 620, 630, 640, that has at least 300 pounds of contaminated, rotten meat in the works in them. And can you imagine that smell of 150 to 200 pounds of meat, of steak, of hamburger, of pork chops, of bacon, of sausage, of hot dogs, half smokes, and they've been fermenting in these people's bodies, and after about 5 or 6 months go by, and they pass gas, or belch, and the smell is just it's horrific. It's horrific. It's pungent. It's loud. It's toxic. It's eye-watering, and it's sad. It's sad. I just don't understand what sign, or why did you let yourself go like that? First of all, why did you let yourself go like that? And you've turned into a vending machine with legs. That's all you are. A gigantic intestine with legs. A fucking stomach with legs. One big, gigantic fucking intestine. And people will probably say, oh, that shit ain't funny. It could happen to anybody. Yes, of course, if you eat yourself into oblivion, because all of them, their eyeballs are penetrating out of the sockets. And that comes from eating. That comes from overeating, being obese. And this one lady told on the show, she said that for breakfast, she eats 2 dozen scrambled eggs, 16 pack of Kraft cheese mixed in the eggs. She's a half a jar of grape jelly, 2 dozen eggs, 2 dozen eggs, and a half gallon of chocolate milk, and 2 packs of those, I guess, Hungry Jack biscuits or whatever that shit, whatever they call them. That's her breakfast. And it's all served on a platter, not a regular plate that, normal people eat out of a nice round plate. Theirs come on the platter where, you put turkeys and hams and shit on, and that's just breakfast. That's just breakfast. That has nothing to do with lunch or dinner. You know, so you know what do we do about a situation like that? Do we become evil and say, fuck it, let them just kill themselves and just feed them until they eat themselves into oblivion? Or we try to encourage them, give them some encouragement, and begin to work with individuals that are going through that. You know, it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. You know, what can you say? What can you say and what can you do? You know, I've seen some shit in my days, but this shit takes the cake. Well, let me rephrase that because I don't, they'll take your cake, but nevertheless, you know, that's the bottom line, that you know, obesity is terrible. You know, when you get a woman is the size of 3 men. You know, I'm talking about 3 football players. And one woman had to be buried in a piano case. She had to be buried in a piano case. And so, I remember when she passed, I believe that was summer of '76. And I remember just trying to figure out, because I see everyone crying and hooping and hollering and things, even though that's my favorite aunt. But I'm trying to figure out what's going on, you know. You know, I've been to a lot of funerals. You know, I've seen people disfigured. I've seen closed caskets. I've seen generally all of it. You know, and it's a sad situation. Even though we all have a date. We all have a date to meet with the Creator. We all have that date. Creator, creators, or them, or he or she. We all have that date. And what are we going to do when that day comes? You know, what are we going to do? Do we try to act like these crackers and at the last minute try to ask for forgiveness for all the dirt and fucked up shit, you know, that you've done? Or do you let your image and ego get involved and say, fuck it, it is what it is. Whatever they do to me, they're going to do to me. What would you do? What would you do in a situation like that? I want to know. And now, even with Trump saying that he is for execution for those who are caught selling drugs. He made a statement this morning, a press statement this morning, that people that sell drugs need to be executed. But see, it would be different if it was a whole gang of white boys that was hustling. That would never have crossed his mind to come up and say some Hitler-geared, Hitler-motivated comments like that. You know, that other countries have severe penalties. That's why the drug addiction in other countries is so minimal, except the United States. And that comes from us being used. That comes from us fighting back. That comes from us trying to stand up when injustice is being implemented in anything that we do. When a black man goes to court, the only thing he can wish for is a plea agreement and see how quick can you get out of jail. the more serious the crime, the longer you'll be in. So, drop a comment in my box and let me know your opinion on, what should we do about the obesity that's dominating the black community right now, as well as death penalty cases for individuals that are caught selling drugs. I'll see you all in a couple of minutes. Hotep, Black Power.